Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Antigua and Barbuda. Good morning, Guyana. Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning, good morning to you wherever you are in the world. Good morning to you in London. Maybe you might be in the UAE. Maybe you might be in Colombia. You might be all the way in Venezuela. ¿Cómo estás? You might be in Brazil. I am telling you. You might be all the way in Africa, I am saying, or you might be going all the way to Italy. But I am saying good morning. If you see me on my screen, it's your girl, Lady Nikki Phoenix. It is Wednesday. It is our Wednesday sip, okay? And you're here. I'm on the screen. That means we're locked, we're sip ready, we're loaded. And I have to apologize. I didn't get a chance to do the flyer this morning to tell you who the guest is, but you can trust this platform all the time. So I'm going to say, tag somebody now, now, now. Like, tag everybody in the live. Let them know we've started. Good morning. Let's get the program started. How you doing? It's Wednesday. It's January 14th, 2026. 14 days into January. Let's get going.
Ever striving, ever seeking, well in love and unity, each and every, all achieving, heal our land. You've graced us with land, sea and beauty. Oh, you fed us from our birth by providing for your children. Oh, from generation to generation, we will lift up our prayer for Antigua, for Barbuda. Lord, we pray for Antigua in the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray for our nation. Please heal our land. Please heal our land. You stood beside us in the midnight hour. Your strong arms held us all together. Now we bless you in Jesus' name, and we pray for you in Jesus' name, the name above every other name.
Proverbs chapter 9. Wisdom had builded her house. She had hewn out her 7 pillars. She had killed her beasts, and she had mingled her wine. She had also furnished her table. She had sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanted understanding, she said to him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. Forsake the foolish, and live and go in the way of understanding. He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Give instructions to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. For by me thy days shall be multiplied, and the years of thy life shall be increased. If thou be wise, thou shalt be wise for thyself. But if thou scornest, thou alone shalt bear it. A foolish woman is clamorous, she is simple and knoweth nothing. For she sitteth at the door of her house, on a seat in the highest places of the city, to call passengers who go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, she says, let him turn in hither. And as for him that wanteth understanding, she said to him, stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that all her guests are in the depths of hell.
Heal our land.
I am here. I am here. I am here. I'm here. Guess what? I'm here. I'm multitasking because I didn't get a chance to, put on my little nail polish. I tell you guys, when I don't get to do the fingernails, this is the last thing I find myself doing. Either this or the lip or the something. But this year we're gonna do it because we're gonna do the soft power kind of girl thing. Good morning. It is Wednesday. I was just, as I'm preparing for the program, going through the program's outline, going through some information that, we're putting together. And I said we because I had a discussion yesterday with our guest who we're going to have this morning. I only got him yesterday, but I had reached out and I was supposed to reach him out since Monday afternoon. But our guest this morning is the UPP PRO Jonathan Wenner. Yes, young Jonathan Wenner is in the house. He's here on Morning Sip today, Wednesday, and we're going to have our discussion. I have to be very honest. One of the things I didn't get to do was listen to his full interview with Max Hurst and Darren Matthew Ward and himself and so on. I was just reading the Facebook comments and I had little snippets, but I didn't get a chance to sit down and listen. Also, I heard that the UPP had a meeting last night. I didn't get to watch the meeting. I didn't get to download it either. I have been in mommy mode, Nikki mode. Yes. But what I did do in my conversation with Jonathan yesterday, I'm very pleased I can pick up the phone and said, hi, Jonathan, it's Nikki Phoenix. And he recognized the voice. Oh, okay, good. The voice, Jonathan recognized the voice. And I was able to talk to him and I asked him, to give an idea of what the discussion was on the platform and some of his concerns that he had, or not really concerns, but topics and topic areas and discussion points he didn't get a chance to touch on there. And that's what we usually do here. So I said to him, prepare that. And I went and I did my own investigations. And class, from my investigations, we're going to need a part 2 here and a part 3, and then we're going to have to find ourselves putting certain stipulations in place in how this discussion is going to unfold. And I'm very, very serious about that. So if you're just joining the live, good morning. If you haven't tagged somebody yet, tag them please, because this cannot get to others unless you tag them. We don't want them to happen to pass over it. We want you to be active. So if you're not at the moment able to send a coffee or send some stars or a PayPal, however you support this independent platform, do it nicely. I'm just saying. And I should read the word first, and then some people are going to get put at the back of the class. Jonathan is here. He's in. Good morning, Rose. Good morning, Aldine. I see Aldine is working. Yeah, Aldine, thank a few people. Morning, Aldine. Let's do the word quickly. And we're going to get into our discussion with Jonathan. But I'm going to mark the register just now, and people are going to start going to the back of the class. Okay? The reason why I said people are going to start, let's do it like this. Yes, we can do it like this. People are going to start going, oh, I like this. Okay, like my nice suit. You know your friend has very nice suit? People are going to start going to the back of the class depending on the number of times you show up to class, because you're going to miss gaps. You're going to have gaps in our discussion. You're going to have gaps in our dialogue. I also want to say good morning to those of you on YouTube. Yes, FreePress268, you're on YouTube out there. Good morning to our YouTubers. I try to put little tags at the YouTube description so you can find it. Good morning. Let's read the word. So we're going to stick to the word that we had on Monday that we got from Talia Parker. which is Daniel 5, verses 25 to 28. And it's important that we stick to this verse. And as we go through class, good morning, Janice, you're early. We're about to start. As we go through class for the next couple of weeks, we're going to see. I know that those who already have awoken, like that light bulb, that sleeping giant is already awake in you, awoken in you. You get the picture. You see the end before the beginning. So where we are right now, in this discussion, in what's happening in Antigua and Barbuda and what's happening around the world, you understand that this time was coming. Yeah? Let me be factual and real. It was coming. We saw the vehicle, whichever one was driving, whether it was a Bronco or not, speeding at a rate where there was no accountability, there was no press conference. Like even right now, there's still been no press conference from Prime Minister Gaston Brown to address the nation. Antigua and Barbuda, what's going on. Every other prime minister around the Caribbean has addressed their nations. I'm not saying the prime minister addressing the nation on his station. I'm not saying the prime minister having a discussion with the people he has a discussion with or have discussions with every Saturday. I'm talking about the leadership. I'm talking about the respect for the people. Yes, respecting the people, the role as prime minister, and especially in this very serious time. And on Monday, I read the press statement that came out by Maurice Merchant. You all know the kind of cap I put on Maurice's head. So I read that press statement, and this discussion today is going to take us back to that press statement. And I invited Jonathan to the platform because Jonathan has his own perspective with regards to what he has investigated and what he's bringing to the discussion. So the platform needs engagement. I don't like the idea to hear individuals say, oh, Nikki, we watch, but we don't comment, or, we don't want to be seen. If you don't want to be seen, you're going to get block and delete. Did I say that? Yes. And we're going to continue to push with our 1 and 25 or 1 of 25, because the 1 of 25 comment, the 1 of 25 engage, like, share, because we understand it's not a spectating kind of thing. I don't, when we're doing what we're doing, especially for this new year, especially for my time, I haven't been wasting it, but I know now I'm even more strategic about it. So what we're doing here every Monday and Wednesday is not just alive. It is life that I put my energy, the Most High God put in me, giving me the life, the energy, the ideas, the tenacity, the boldness to come and do what we do here. So when you come into this space, you participate. Anyhow you can, participate. If you don't want to be seen or heard participating, you're going to have to go to the back of the class. And you're going to get block and delete. I gave you all a joke about that block and delete, but let's do the word. So on Monday, I read the full scripture to give you an understanding. And again, that's what I'm saying, not missing class. If you did miss the class, then you would miss out on me reading this whole part. And I think I want to not have Jonathan waiting so long. So I'm going to stick to the verses, Daniel chapter 5, verses 25 to 28. Let's stick to that. And then I'll explain why it is relevant for us to stay on this. So 24 says, therefore he sent the hand that wrote the inscription. This is the inscription that was written. Mene, mene, tekel, parsin. 25 says, here is what these words mean. Many. God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. 27, tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. 28, Perez, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. You guys can continue to read 29, but like I said, if you keep missing the class, you're going to miss, if you miss Monday's live, you miss me reading from 18, so I could have given you the understanding, which I did on Monday in the explanation on why we got to this point. And shout out to Talia Parker. Not only a shout out, a blessings and God's favor, because like I said, since last week, Talia had this particular scripture. It's been on her Facebook. I think Talia might even have sent me this scripture, and I didn't mention it while I had a previous scripture for the program. God has numbered your days. God has numbered it. God has numbered your reign. Your kingdom is divided. You've been on a scale. You've been weighed on a scale. Your role, your leadership has been weighed on a scale and has been found wanting. It is already divided, your kingdom. And it will be given, like given away. Because remember, let me go back to this part. I just felt in my spirit to read this part. It says, those the king wanted to put to death, he put to death. Those he wanted to spare, he spared. Those he wanted to promote, he promoted. And those he wanted to humble, he humbled. But when his heart became arrogant and hardened with pride, he was disposed from his royal throne and stripped of his glory. He was driven away, yeah, from people and given the mind of an animal. He lived with the wild donkeys and ate grass like an ox, and his body was drenched with the dew of heaven until he acknowledged that the Most High God is sovereign over all kingdoms on the earth, underneath the earth, every aspect of the earth, set over everyone, and he do as he wishes, does as he pleases. And we're staying on that word to get into this conversation this morning. Heavenly Father, thank you for who you are. Thank you for your favor. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. Thank you, God, for this platform. Thank you sincerely, God, for this platform. Thank you sincerely, God, for this burning in my spirit to press forward and push through and to see the end before the beginning, to understand the desire for us to have a space, God, for us to be bold in our spirits and speak truth and to investigate and to ask questions. God, you say question everything. We're not supposed to question you, God, but we're supposed to question man and the activities and things of man if it doesn't sit right in our spirits. And Father, as we go into this conversation, we have young Jonathan Wenner coming on the platform. And God, this is a young man. This is not one of the old stalwarts, as we're going to say, God. This is a young soldier. We're not looking at party. We're looking at this young man's mind, body, and spirit. And you have placed in him this mantle to be a PR over this party, the UPP party, at this time in what's happening all around the world. And it is my desire, God, that your will be done in Jonathan Wenner's life, not the will of his father or the will of the party or the will of Prime Minister Gaston Brown or the will of Jamal Pringle or the will of his mother, father, anybody, God, but your will must be done, because this is a serious time, God, for people who have a desire for you. And however they're going to serve you, God, they must first have a desire for people. They must love people beyond an understanding. And I pray that Jonathan has that understanding and he has that love. So, Father God, teach him and guide him and protect him. And even on this platform, God, put a new tongue and a new understanding on him. So even as we discuss, God, he's here to have a discussion. He's here to bring enlightenment. He's here to open the minds and the eyes of other individuals from everywhere, wherever they are, once they come under the sound of his voice. It's the first time I'm speaking to him, to God. So you give me wisdom for us to have this program and this conversation, God, and let it do what you need it to be done. Especially in this time and in this season, God. Use this platform, use me, use this space, use people when they come together every Monday and Wednesday. Even when we leave from here, God, use us in our spaces, in our environments, God, to bring shifting and changing in our environments, mind, body, and spirit. So thank you sincerely for who you are. Let your name be given the honor and the glory. Let your word be manifested and uttered from my mouth. And God, you know I like to, so keep me in check. In the name of the Most High God. Amen. Amen. Jonathan is in the house. Let's add him to the platform. Jonathan, good morning.
Hello, hello. Good morning to you, Nikki. Good morning to your
Jonathan, this
listeners and
platform
viewers.
is video. We got to see you. I hope you got a video on.
No, no. Unfortunately, Nikki, I won't be
What?
able to turn on the video this morning.
No,
Yes, yes,
Jonathan.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
another place you do that. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I apologize about that. Apologies for that. But can you hear me loud and clear? Is there any
Yes.
difficulty with audio? Yes.
I
Thank you
think I
so much.
think I think audio is really good. I apologize for the short notice because since over the weekend I should have reached out, and then on Monday I got a bit busy. I know that you had a very pressing day yesterday. You had your rally last evening, and you still make the time because now it's about minutes to 8 in the morning. So thank you very much, and welcome to Morning Sip with Lady Nikki Phoenix.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here on your platform. And of course, you've been doing some good work. So, just to give you some encouragement to continue fighting the fight. It's not about party colors or anything, but all of us wanting to see better for Antigua and Barbuda and playing our part and doing our role for the betterment of our nation, of course.
If you say that, John Antonio, you already know that this sip is going to be very hot because I have plenty questions. If you keep doing what you're doing, Nikki, you better brace yourself. You can't
No
just keep
problem at all.
doing what you're doing, Nikki, and.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, for the audience on this platform and this space, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your studies, and what your present role entails, and how you've been enjoying that role thus far?
Right, so I'll be brief about me because we have a lot to discuss, and I actually have to leave a little bit earlier to get sort about
That's
the business of the day. It's no
I feel.
problem at all. But yeah, so my name is Jonathan Wenner. For those who might have missed it, I am 24 years old. I am the acting public relations officer of the United Progressive Party, and yes, my role is to, as you said, to really inform and bring awareness to the policies, the plans, the programs, the advocacy that is being brought about by the United Progressive Party in terms of what we want to see, our vision for Antigua and Barbuda, and especially as a government in waiting to let the people know how we will uh, make their lives better in terms of what we plan to do directly once we are returned to government. And of course, it's I think we can clearly see the plans, the policies, the programs, the practices, and the performance of the current administration. They've been there for close to 12 years now. 12 years already.
Hmm.
12 long years. But what I'm saying is that we in the United Progressive Party, we have to let the public know what our plans are, what our concerns are, the present concerns, and what we will do differently. And I think I want to highlight that as we go through this morning as well, too, in terms of how certain things could have been avoided, especially seeing when we know that certain things were implemented initially by the UPP and they have been changed so drastically, and the results that arise from that drastic change. Even if it's something as simple as transparency, I mean, the change in those practices, it's a really dramatic shift, and we're reaping the consequences of those changes by the current administration.
Okay, how long have you been in the role as the acting PRO for the UPP?
A couple of months. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I want to
Has
say a
it
couple of
has it
months.
been a year as yet?
I doubt it couldn't have been a year. Couldn't
So
have been a
what
year.
what
I've
has
only been
been
a member of the party for 3 years,
okay,
and
okay.
I was, oh boy, you asked me about dates. Anyway, I can't remember all the details, but acting PR, it couldn't have been a year. I don't want to say that it's been a year as of yet. Hmm.
Okay. I know that with regards to the UPP, there's this continuous narrative, and I have to say continuous narrative because the Prime Minister says it every day. For the past 12 years, everything the Prime Minister says is the UPP fault, and everything that does not seem right to a certain extent in the eyes of the Prime Minister and many others would seem that it is not the accurate road to take. And looking at you, you mentioned that you have been a party member for about 3 years. You've been a PRO for less than a year. You're very young. What is it that you're doing, using, and saying and demonstrating that shows that it's a different era with regards to the younger generation understanding the political dynamics, and understanding the importance of having a voice in the political space?
Right, yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, let me just say this before I say the rest of my comments. There's this narrative that, oh, the United Progressive Party is not about advancing people, especially young people. And that, again, anybody who sits down, sorry, for at least 2 seconds and thinks about it can see that's totally false. I mean, I myself here sitting down to you talking, I am the acting public relations officer of the party as a young individual. And look at throughout the years, all the young people, persons who have been elevated throughout our party, even those who are currently are criticizing the party or who have left, they are the same beneficiaries of that elevation and that investment by the party into their political growth and development. So, I mean, even when you look at our political leader, he was given the opportunity to contest a seat at a young age. He's still relatively young to be leading a political party. You look at Brother Kelvin Shugi Simon down there in St. Mary's South, he's also another young individual. And I can go on and on and on from those who are currently in the party and those who have moved on. That we in the United Progressive Party are all about investing in and elevating our youth. Now, with regards to what we're doing to signal this is a new era and how we engage, and I think you said the young people in this new era and things of that nature. Well, I have to say, social media, as we all know, plays a massive role in politics in today's day and age, and that's a relatively recent thing. So we've been able, everyone, I'm sure you know as well too. You have a platform on social media. We have been able to get the news across, get our message across, in ways and avenues that we never even considered 10 years ago, let's say. So we're able to, even in small bites, small size, if it's not a whole hour long discussion, we're able to, even after our discussions, clip up the salient points and disseminate that widely across the different social media platforms. And that has been proven effective. So people are not just listening, let's say, as in times gone by, to just ABS alone and listening to the government's narrative and what the government wants you to see and the perspective that they want to put across. So you utilize different avenues such as social media. But of course, also critical is as it will always be, it will always be critical, the personal contact, the personal reaching out, the personal conversations and dialogue. You're going door to door, face to face meetings with individuals that will never become obsolete. And of course, we engage the youth, the people of today, the seniors as well too, with our policies and programs, not just what we are going to do, but what we have done. Because we do have a record, a track record of the United Progressive Party. And we are proud of it. We continue to stand on it. And we say we have learned our lessons from the mistakes of the past. We will change what needs to be changed. And we will continue to move forward with what worked in the past before.
The reason why I asked you that question is because a little bit of me watching, I didn't get to watch fully the interaction that you had on Sunday with Max Hurst, the
Saturday.
ambassador. Max Hurst. Is it Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
Max Hurst, and just his general tone, his demeanor, the way that you were treated. I asked that question because I want to know if that's the experiences you're having when you're in other spaces in the political space when they're much older than you are.
Not at all. Not at all, Nikki. What I can assure you is that
So you're saying it's just Max?
I don't want to say it's just Max. I don't want to single him out. What I can say within my own party, I don't know people on the other side. I can't tell you because I've never been there. I can speak to people on my side. For example, I'll give you a quick example. Being a young member of the party, a young member of the central executive. When I don't mean young in age, but the amount of time I've been here. Remember, I said I've only been a party member for about 3 years. So, being a young member of the party, a young member of the central executive, and a very young in terms of term of office, a public relations officer, I have had to rely on those who have been there before and have done it for much longer than I have, and they have been a great support. Like the chairwoman of our party, Dame DJzel Isaac, has been very supportive of me whenever I need something from her. I can call, and she's assists me a lot. So I sometimes I get confused as to is this the same Sister G that people are talking about in the public? Because that's not my experience. But anyway, I'll just give you that's just one example. But so many people, everybody in the party, I can't say I've had a bad experience when asking for help, support, advice,
Okay.
assistance, anything like that, in terms of research, knowledge, anything at all. So within my own party and our supporters, and that's who I interact with within the political arena, I cannot say that I've had any what you would describe as Lionel Maxwell's behavior.
Okay, so I want us to get into, I know that time is limited for you, and I want us to get into some of the things that you want to talk about. I saw that you sent me a link, and I did some of my own research with regards to the gentleman Alex Sab Moran. And there's a couple of things that you wanted us to talk about: Alex Sab Moran, Global Bank of Commerce, and a bit of mention regarding Brian Stuart Young. And I did my own research on that. I have to let you know that this platform is not supported by a political party. This is independent. You know, anything that we do or say here must be factual, it must be verified, must have documentation to show and to validate the questions or the direction of the conversation. So I'm just putting that out there so you can be very much mindful of that. I want the audience to know that I am mindful of that, and I've done my own research also. So I'll let you take it away with our discussion.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Good morning again to our listeners and viewers. And persons might ask, what is the relevance of Alex Moran? Now, it is highly relevant, Nikki, and let me explain why it is relevant. Now, it was last week Friday that we heard and saw a joint press conference from the National Security Council. So, from the Chief of the Defense Staff, Brigadier General Talbot Benjamin, the head of the ONDCP, Colonel Croft. We had the Chief Immigration Officer, Katrina Yearwood. Who else was there? There's somebody else I'm forgetting. Oh, yes, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Everton Jeffers, and the Public Relations Officer of the Police Force, Inspector Frankie Thomas. So all of those individuals were there at that press conference held by the National Security Council of Antigua and Barbuda, if you will. And what was their main concern, I would say? Their main objective was to let the nation know that Antigua and Barbuda, the state of Antigua and Barbuda, is not involved or caught up with this narco trafficking allegations and these money laundering allegations as it relates to Venezuela. Now, I'm not going to make any pronouncements as it relates to that. What I'm going to make pronouncements on is what we see in the news, as reported by government agencies coming out of the United States and other countries, and see the links towards certain individuals within Antigua and Barbuda. And again, with your visa restrictions. So that is your bonds that you have to put up for your visas as well, and also the suspension of issuing new visas depending on certain classifications from the United States. These are directly the result, as they mentioned in their statements, of the individuals who we give our passports to. Now, I'm talking about people who are born here, people who come here as immigrants and they live and then they qualify for citizenship and so on. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about our citizenship by investment program, Nikki. And it is coming to some serious concerns and questioning, because we have to keep asking, why is it that so many warnings have been given by the US, Canada, the EU, the UK, and still we still see individuals who are of questionable character maintaining us not maintaining obtaining our passports, acquiring our passports through the CBI program. And Alex Saab Moran is exhibit A in those questionable characters, Nikki. And that is why he's relevant, because individuals like him who are able to obtain our passport is why if you want to go to the United States to get a new, I think it's immigrant visa, you'd have to put up a bond of up to 15,000 US dollars. That's nearly 40,000 EC. Who in Antigua and Barbuda? Which common man? Now, I know the high rollers might have that kind of money, Nikki, but we not high rollers. Let's be quite frank. So this is a serious burden and strain for those of us who have to travel to the United States to see family. Those of us who have to travel to the United States to get health care, because a lot of cancer patients, they have to go um and they have to do fundraisers. You see that all the time. People do fundraisers as a community to afford the medical treatment for diseases such as cancer. And especially since the cancer center opened, it's just a fact. It was opened by the United Progressive Party administration under the Honorable Dr. Baldwin Spencer. It has been closed for almost the entire Labour Party government. And you can't convince me that you're caring people if you know it's been closed. You see that these are further travel restrictions on the cancer center and still it remains closed. The Minister of Health needs to be fired today. And we can get into that later on in the discussion. But as I maintain with this visa restrictions and the visa ban,
Yes.
and this Alex Moran is one of the reasons as to why. Now, yes. So going back to Alex Moran, Nikki, if you do a simple Google search of Alex Submarine, you'll see many things. Now, I wasn't able to send you all the documents, but I'll send you everything that I refer to after our conversation because, it was very busy for me yesterday. But I'll send you everything that I refer to
You
for
don't
after
you
we
don't have to
finish. Mhm.
you can send it to me, but I want you to know I'm well docked up. As
Oh,
in
you are. Right.
I
Right,
did my
right.
research and I can, some of the things I'm gonna listen to what you have to say first, and then I'm going to be able to add some of my own findings. But you can share what you have, but from our discussion, I'm on track with what you're going to say. I wanna
Okay,
make sure.
fantastic.
Go ahead.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, what I want to highlight before getting into the details of Alex Abram, just to conclude setting up as to why he is important, specifically towards with regards to our travel ban on our visa restrictions. Now, I want to remind the public, because I said this in some of my other outings, but not everybody sees everything.
Hmm.
The US, the EU, Canada, the UK have been giving us, I mean, when I say us, I mean Antigua and Barbuda, repeated warnings since 2017, Nikki. 2017
I know about that. Sure. Yes.
about the lack of transparency and the integrity of our CBI program since 2017. So when you hear the resident ambassador to the US says he never knew, this caught him totally off guard about these new restrictions, that he doesn't know where this is coming from. This is out of the blue, Sir Ronald Sanders. You have to question, what is he doing on a day-to-day basis? He seems to be so busy, he's not worried about the state of affairs of Antigua and Barbuda. Now, I want to just go over to December of last year. December 29th, 2025. And this is what it says. I'm reading from the Daily Observer. This is the title of the article. EU warns Caribbean, EU meaning European Union, warns Caribbean CBI schemes could cost visa free access. Now you see this now. The UK, not the UK, the US puts on visa restrictions and a visa ban on us already. Now the EU, as of December, a couple of days ago, is warning: fix up your CBI CIP program, or you're going to lose visa-free access. We're going to wait until the visa-free access is gone for us to be making changes. Anyways, the article reads as follows. I just read the excerpt, not the whole thing, without the time. It says, in Antigua and Barbuda's case, the report from the EU lists the volume of passports issued through investments and notes that a significant share of applicants came from visa required countries, naming Syria, Iraq, and China among the top nationalities recorded. Syria, Iraq, and China, just like some examples. What is the EU concerned about? Antigua and Barbudans do not need a visa to travel to any country in Europe. We have visa waivers to that, and that's a very privileged position that we have because most countries around the world require visas to travel to Europe, right,
Hmm.
Nikki? The EU, the Schengen countries.
Yes.
However, we are exempt from that. In light of that, many persons who need a visa to travel to Europe, once they have the means, they will see our CBI program and they would want to invest in it so that they can acquire passports. The issue the EU has is that we are not being transparent in terms of who are these individuals who are buying our passports to get into Europe, and they're also concerned about the nationalities of these individuals. They listed Syria, Iraq, and China because remember, they are nefarious characters. They have terrorism concerns. They have money laundering concerns. They have so many concerns about the intentions of these characters. Having said all of that, and oh, before I go on, the last point about an article I want to raise is about the transparency that the EU again raised. And I want to focus on EU a bit away from the United States because some people believe that what we're facing in Antigua and Barbuda is just because of a Trump administration. And Trump doesn't like black countries, or Trump doesn't like Caribbean or non nationals and so on. So everything is Trump's fault. That is not the case. Remember, I told you these warnings have been continually
Yes.
reported since 2017. And they've been reported from several countries, not just the US. So it's not just a Trump situation, listeners and viewers. So if Trump goes tomorrow, the situation does not change. The situation is the lack of transparency in our CBI program. Now, the last article I want to share before we move on from this is that the EU also warned about the lack of publishing the names of those who acquire our passports through the CBI program. Now, before the United Progressive Party, when the original act was passed in 2013, it was a requirement, Nikki, for the names of applicants who acquire our passports through CBI to be published in the 6 month report. Okay.
Yeah, but I remember that because I was covering the news then, and it started in maybe the first year, the first 2 years it happened, but after a while it just phased out.
Right, right. Because in 2017, 16, sorry, 2016, the Gaston Brown administration amended the law to remove requirements of publishing of the names. And this is another issue
Oh,
that the US, the UK, the EU, and Canada had serious concerns with. And in that same, well, not the same year, the year after, because 2016, the law was changed. In 2017, remember, we lost visa free access to Canada. And they
yes.
cited issues with our transparency because the law was changed in this instance. And I'm going to read the article again from the Daily Observer. The UPP supports European Union CIP proposals. This is from August 9th of 2023. You see how many years ago that is and how
Oh,
long our warnings
August
have been?
9, 2023.
2023 and from the Antigua Observer. You can find these things on their website, by the way, Observer's website. Now, I'm just going to read a quick excerpt. The recent proposals made by the European Union aimed at reforming the citizenship by investment programs, CIPs, operated by Antigua and Barbuda are as follows. The mandatory submission of the names of those seeking citizenship to law enforcement agencies. I'll just stop at that proposal alone because that's what I'm focusing on for now. The mandatory submission of names of those seeking citizenship to law enforcement agencies. Now, remember, when the original act was passed by the UPP, we had consulted with the EU, for example, and that was one of their recommendations. So it was put in the law.
Okay.
Gaston Brown came into power within 2 years after, in 2016, he changed the law and removed the submission of names. And this is why we have issues about our transparency. We have issues about the integrity of our CBI program being called into question and why we have restrictions on our ability to travel to certain countries. We see further restrictions with Canada. We see restrictions with the issuances of our visas, and we see travel bans up to 15,000 US dollars. But Alex Saab Moran, in light of all of this, Exhibit A in terms of the lack of submission of names, Exhibit A in terms of nefarious characters or questionable characters, shall I say. Let's get into the details of Alex Saab Moran, Nikki, having set out and outlined the relevance of that individual to our current situation with regards to visas and our CBI program in Antigua and Barbuda. Now, a simple search for Alex Saab Moran would tell you that he's a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda. Not only was he a citizen, but he was a holder, or he is, well, we don't even know if he still is. And these are questions that we need to have sorted out. Again, the transparency. A holder of a CIP passport. And we also know that he was a diplomat of Antigua and Barbuda. So not just a citizen, not just a holder of our CBI or CIP passport, but also a diplomat, Nikki, a
So
diplomat.
class, 1 second, let me give my class some context. Your teacher is still learning this tech savvy business where I could just click on my platform and the face comes up. It's not there yet. So teacher just gonna put the face on her screen. This is the person we're talking about here.
Right.
Wait. This way? Is it this way or this way? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Tap the screen. Yeah, we see him good. We see him good.
Okay, class, this is the person we're talking about. And
I believe that's his
class,
mugshot.
it's he's wearing an orange jumpsuit, so he might have been at the bar.
Well.
And I have, yes, and I have a screenshot of an Antigua and Barbuda passport of this same person here, Alex Saab Moran. It says Antiguan and Barbudan. It shows the date of birth here. It says place of birth is Colombia. The date issued. I told you, Edwina, you have this?
Yes, I have this man. Where do your research? You did you go some good research there. You had the
What
man
you mean if
passport
I
and
did
so.
my research? When there's one Nikki Phoenix, any other is a carbon copy or a Mac. That is why this platform gotta stay independent. We can't do no party thing. When if you have your thing up, you pull it up. So it says here date of issue the 18th of November 2014 and date of expiry for this particular picture here the 18th of November 2019. And yes, all the names are there. The type of it, the type of the passport. I never thought of checking my passport type. It says PD. Is it a PD or a PO? And what does a PO means or a PD? Is that a special type of passport? Where's my class? Where's everybody? Everybody gonna go to the back of the class. Like James gonna go to the back of the class. I don't see TK in class. Is PN in class? Is Legs in class? Is Sharon Legs in class? I don't know if Sharon Legs is in class. If you're in class, you better say in class. Say present. Is Carol here? I don't know if Carol is here. Is Talia here? Is Lydia here? Everybody in class? No? All right. So continue because I do have it here for sure, and then I have another little script here that speaks about the date of birth, the name, and so on. So go on. You can go deeper with regards to Alex Sabmaran.
Yes. So definitely it cannot be called into question that he is a citizen. He was given citizenship under the Gaston Brown administration. And as you just highlighted, you see the date in which the passport was issued. Elections of that year in 2014 were in June. By November, Alex Moran had a passport. Why is that concerning? And I'll tell you why. Now, Alex Moran was in serious legal problems and on the investigation before he even got a passport in 2014. What am I
Before
speaking about?
2014?
Before 2014.
Oh,
So,
I didn't check
so
that one.
so if you're doing due diligence, Nikki, as the CIU, the Citizenship by Investment Unit, and Lionel Maxhurst, Chief of Staff for the Prime Minister, was trying to convince me and Darren the other day on Saturday night that we have the best due diligence in the world and that our due diligence for the CBI program, the CIP program, is even better than the due diligence of the United States of America. You hear what I'm telling you?
Mm.
Y'all listening? The chief of staff of the office of the prime minister is saying that our due diligence is the best in the world for our CIP, and it's even better and at minimum on par with the due diligence of the United States of America. But at the
Yet
same
Alex
time,
Sabmaran passed through.
but that's my
And,
question:
and
how Alex
many
Moran
others.
passed through, and many others, but we just focus on him for this morning because
Go
of the
ahead.
time. Now, what is the problems, the trouble that he was in before 2014? No, I send you these articles as well. There's quite a few documenting the issues that he was under. But this is from Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg News. I'm sure we're
Of
all
course.
familiar with Bloomberg News. And this article was written by Michael Smith, entitled Venezuela's Trade Scheme with Turkey is Enriching a Mysterious Maduro Crony. And the Maduro crony in question was Alex Saab Moran and just speaking about his legal issues before 2014, questioning how he seep through the cracks of our due diligence. Now it says, right, that in 2014, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown invited Saab to become Special Economic Envoy to Venezuela. Special Economic Envoy.
I
Grant,
don't have that article. I don't have that article. You have it on WhatsApp?
uh, I'll send it to you after. So
Or
just,
send it to me. Send it to me via email. But I might have an article with this same gentleman that you don't have. But go ahead.
okay, no problem, no problem. Yes. Where was that? To become a special economic envoy to Venezuela, granting him Antiguan citizenship. And remember, Gaston Brown, our prime minister, is directly responsible for granting citizenship because he is the minister with responsibility for the citizenship by investment program. Alex Saab Moran had a contract to build a factory in Antigua to make housing panels, but the factory never opened. Now, what is his legal issues? It goes on to say, I don't want to read too much of this because it's just the background. The company was investigated by Ecuador's, well, no, let me give you the company, right. Armando Info, a Venezuelan investigative journalist outlet, reported that Saab received US $159 million from the Venezuelan government to import housing materials between 2012 and 2013, but only delivered products worth US $3 million. I want to repeat that again. in 2012 and 2013, the same Alex Saab Moran, right? He had a company to import housing materials in Venezuela, and he received a contract to import 159 million US dollars worth of material, but he only imported US 3 million. So what happened to the other 156 million US dollars? But that's for them in Venezuela and so on to deal with. That's their legal issues. However, my point is, Nikki, if we did proper due diligence, how come we didn't find out that there was an investigation going on where an individual has to account for US $156 million? And that don't flag as a red flag on your due diligence, that is supposed to be the best in the world and at minimum on par with the United States. It goes on to say the company was investigated by Ecuador's government. So again, due diligence, you don't have conversations with other governments to see. Anyway, Ecuador's government for alleged money laundering through false exports to Venezuela via Colombia. Although Saab was not accused of wrongdoing in 2013, Ecuadorian prosecutors alleged the company was used to launder more than $130 million. So I want to clarify that. The individual directly was not accused of wrongdoing, but the company that he owns was. So even if you're saying the excuse is, oh, he was not charged, but his company was investigated, it's the man company. Come on now. You think really and truly he have nothing to do with his company? No, Nikki, if you don't laugh, you had to really, I don't know what else to do.
No, this is beyond laughing if I tell you the truth, because um I've been really moved in a different way this morning while I was preparing the program, because I know our conversation yesterday. And I remember mentioning this name, Alex Saab Moran, on Monday on the program, and I mentioned it in passing. And then I remember that I've gotten the picture of the snapshots and so on in my phone, and I didn't spend much time on it. And then when I had our discussion yesterday, when you mentioned Alex Moran, you mentioned Global Bank of Commerce, you mentioned Brian Strode Young, I went into my little sniffing mode, and snipping around and doing my little investigations. And this is very serious. Like, this is very deep, in the sense that this press statement here, I'm waiting for you to finish, because I want to read the press statement that the government sent out. Maurice Merchant sent out a press statement where they wanted to debunk, I guess, or dispel misinformation that is in the public. So I know even this discussion that we're having here about this Alex Sabmaran person might be labeled as inaccurate or misleading. This press statement says government rejects misleading and inappropriate claims regarding Antigua and Barbuda's relationship with the USA, and it mentioned West Indies oil, citizenship by investment, and the use of false or invented information. So I want us to talk about that, and I'm waiting to see in the areas, whatever you don't add to what you found, I want to add it here on this platform so we can go a little bit deeper also.
No problem at all. And I think you're a very good host, because you're tying into my last point before we go into the press statement.
Oh, wait, he says I'm a very good host. Whose show is this?
No, but you're tying
Thank
in
you.
the
I'm not gonna
conversation
do
very
that.
nicely
No,
because you mentioned the money laundering, you mentioned Brian Stewart Young, and you mentioned Global Bank of Commerce, because that's
yeah,
exactly where I'm going next. Just before
yeah.
we get into the press statement by the government and you read it. So this is my last point, Nikki.
Go
I
ahead.
mentioned this when I was reading this article from Bloomberg in passing, but this connects to our very next point. Remember, I just read in 2013, Ecuadorian prosecutors alleged the company, that is Alex Moran's company for housing materials, was used to launder more than 130 million US dollars. Now, a parallel investigation by Colombia's customs agency was dropped in 2014 when the investigator resigned and was moved abroad due to death threats. Death threats. The investigator was investigating this thing in Alex Moran's company at customs. That sound familiar to you, with customs investigation and death threats and shootings? It sounds familiar,
At,
like a Cornell Benjamin or
oh,
Nigel Christian.
wow. Oh,
I'm not
Nigel,
saying they're linked. I'm not saying they're
which is
linked at
still
all.
not even solved. Which is still not even solved as yet.
I'm not saying Cornell Benjamin and Nigel Christian are linked to Alex Saab Moran, but I'm
Oh
just saying
no,
you
we're
see
not saying
how.
that. If
Mm,
let me put a pin in it quickly, because if anybody think that that's just really retarded, but
mhm.
we were just saying in the aspect of the customs officers in Antigua receiving death threats, and we don't know the depth of where that would come from.
Exactly, exactly. That's my point here.
Just
That's my
gotta
point.
clarify it for some people who don't come to class early. Go ahead.
Now, finally, the last point you're going to make before we read that, you read that press statement is about the Global Bank of Commerce, because I highlighted the money laundering before I continued, because this is where Global Bank of Commerce, the allegations are coming to arise. And having outlined that Alex Saab Moran was in legal trouble and on investigation pre 2014. Why important? Because he passed our due diligence in 2014 when he was granting citizenship, when he clearly should not have. Now, after that, now already having citizenship, now already appointed as our special economic envoy to Venezuela, and now being a diplomat of Antigua and Barbuda, this is what we find. The
Wait,
DEA,
back up. I kind of missed something there. You said he became a special economic envoy to Venezuela
correct. So
in
Gaston Brown,
2014?
right. So Gaston Brown appointed Alex Sabran as Antigua's special economic envoy to Venezuela. So not only did he give him citizenship, he appointed him as special economic envoy and he appointed him as a diplomat. All those three things in 2014. After all the legal troubles I just outlined for you all. I'm not saying he did these things, I'm just reporting what the news is saying and the investigations he was under, his company was under.
So you're
Anyways,
saying that this kind of fell under the radar for the due diligence by the government?
well, clearly, if Maxers is saying that they have the best in the world, I don't know how that could fall under the
I
radar.
think Max Cars does have the best car in the world too, don't you think? But yes, let's move on.
Probably the most famous. But yes, in terms of Global Bank of Commerce and Brian Stewart Young,
Mhm.
I want to read from the DEA now. That's the Drug Enforcement Administration in the United States of America. Now, this relates directly to narco trafficking and money laundering. Remember the press statement that the National Security Council last week put out.
Yes.
In 2016, Reuters. Now, Reuters. Oh gosh, Reuters is a very reputable news organization out of the United States of America. That's like the Associated Press and so on. The type of the
Mhm.
New York Times. That's the level of journalistic work that we're speaking about. In 2016, Reuters reported that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency Administration (DEA) had been investigating companies owned by SAB, Alexa Moran, and Alvaro Pulido on suspicion of money laundering and illegal trafficking of cocaine from Colombia. Now, 2016, this man, when did that man's passport expire?
2019.
So he's still on a valid passport and he was still a citizen. And as far as we know, unless the prime minister comes out and says otherwise, or proves otherwise, he is still a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda today in 2026.
But
However,
then we don't know if it was renewed, right? Because it has to be renewed to be valid, doesn't it? Or you just still remain a citizen. What happens?
well, even if it wasn't renewed, we know in 2016 he was still a citizen because it was still valid up until then. So
Yes.
in this instance, right, the DE is investigating Saab and one of his associates for money laundering and cocaine trafficking out of Colombia. The FinCEN files published by what is FinCEN files? I want to be very clear. FinCEN, that is the financial. Let me give you the exact breakdown for what that means, right? The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Now, that's a subdivision of the United States Treasury Department where they investigate situations like money laundering or violations of the Bank Secrecy Act in America. So I want to be very clear. They deal with financial crimes. So ONDCP deals with money laundering and drugs. America, they separate. So DEA deals with really drug trafficking. And then FinCEN, that is the one that is primarily focused on financial crimes with regards to money laundering and violations of the Banking Secrecy Act. The two of them very important because Moran was alleged of money laundering, and we hear about the Global Bank of Commerce in terms of how they connected to him as well. Now let's read. The FinCEN files published by International Consortium of Investigative Journalists in 2020 revealed that from 2016 onwards, banks had reported Saab, that's banks across the world, had reported Alex Saab Moran to the United States Treasury's FinCEN, Financial Crimes Bureau, for suspicious transactions from the Global Bank of Commerce in Antigua. You hear what I'm saying? government banks across the world are reporting from 2016 onwards suspicious transactions between Alex Moran and the Global Bank of Commerce. And this individual, Alex Moran, is being investigated by FinCEN. That's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Agency in America for money laundering. And he's also been investigated by the DEA for cocaine. I was about to say drug, but I want to be specific. Cocaine trafficking out of Colombia.
Maybe
Now
we
you
should say maybe we should say the white stuff.
the
Just keep
white
it
stuff.
nice, keep it nice and
Oh yes, for
get
Facebook, I
it.
understand. Right.
But but Jonathan, as you're talking, and I told you I'm doing my investigations, and I have all these different links to click on and so on. I clicked on a link, Jonathan, and I want to read what I got from the link. It's going to tie into what you're going to say next, but I want people to know that we're not just coming here and just give information, or we're not just you're not doing what you're doing on your end, and me doing what I'm doing on my end, and independently coming up with information that is concerning, because this is concerning. Many red flags. It shows many, it points to the pressure to some extent that Antigua and Barbuda is facing. I know that every other Caribbean islands have their own reasons why whatever is happening there, and whatever reasons their governments are being pressured at the time for whatever. Antigua and Barbuda is being pressured for a specific reason. There might be specific reasons. Oh, shoots here, Yvette. Yvette said a word, if a cocaine, a cocaine. Go on, say what you say. But you understand what I'm saying, Jonathan? In
Oh
the sense
yes.
that
Oh yes.
you might be missing, you might be listing these names and so on here. But I want you to jump on to the pardon that Alex Sabmaran received. And I'm sure that you don't actually have like a letter or an actual documentation showing this. Like for me here, I have before me
I have the
United.
letter. I have
You
it.
which one? From January 25th, 2024?
Let me see the dates. I have a pardon here issued by Joe Biden, and don't think it would have been 2024.
This might be a different letter then. And that would
Yeah.
be quite questioning, because we'd have to like compare notes. What's the heading of your letter?
The executive grant of clemency, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, to all whom, etc., etc., etc.
Nope, nope. Mine is quite different.
A full pardon, and it really has the full pardon here.
All right, so you jump onto that, and I'm going to show you another documentation. I'm going to share with the public another documentation that came up just from research. That's why we're allowed to ask questions. That's why we're allowed to sniff and dig around. I don't think the sniffing and then we'll be talking about going together.
You're very right. You're very right. You have to be careful, but yeah. But yes, Nikki, in terms of before we go over to the part, I just wanted to conclude because you mentioned Brian Stewart Young and so on.
Yes,
Remember, listeners and viewers, remember Gaston Brown again,
Prime
and
Minister Gaston Brown.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown, the Honorable, and Mr. Brian Stewart Young. The two of them very good friends, the best of friends. Remember Gaston, Honorable Prime Minister, always vouching for the man. Even when the good Steve Morgan is telling us that he sent $1 million as hurricane relief money aid to the Barbudans for
Mm-hmm.
their relief efforts, and the Prime Minister told Steve Morgan he's going to put the $1 million into the Global Bank of Commerce instead
Steve
of giving
Morgan,
it to.
yeah, Steve Morgan said that out of his mouth, that he was told to put the money, the $1 million, in the Global Bank of Commerce. I did the exclusive interview with him.
Which doesn't thank you, there you go, which doesn't make sense, because if the man is donating to the Barbuda people for relief effort, why you don't transfer the funds into the accounts of the Barbuda Council so that they can administer the necessary funds where needs be? That only makes sense. Why is it going into the Global Bank of Commerce, operated by a good friend Brian Stewart Young, and the same Global Bank of Commerce being flagged for possible money laundering? I said flagged for possible. I just want to be very clear. Also, why is it this is the same Global Bank of Commerce that they say was in, not they say, let me be specific. The Honorable Prime Minister Gaston Brown himself said on his radio station was in receivership. And they were having liquidity issues because another individual called Jack Stroll, Nikki and listeners,
Remember
he
that?
was trying to make some withdrawals from the Global Bank of Commerce, and the bank tell him they can't give him his money.
$10
Now,
million.
what
Remember
can
that?
go so? You put money in the bank and you want to take out some of your money out of the bank, and the bank tell you can't get your money, Nikki. It's not big problems that's gonna cause. What is this? So Jack Stroll had to take Global Bank of Commerce to court to get his money. And we see he won his case time and time again, and he has to be fighting and fighting and fighting his money. So we see that the Global Bank of Commerce is in some serious hot water. And the water is getting even more hot because, again, the money laundering and the connection between Alex Saab Moran, the Global Bank of Commerce, because the FinCEN and the DEA are alleging that there's money laundering going on between Saab Moran and the Global Bank of Commerce. And we see that it is Gaston Brown, the Honorable Prime Minister, who made Moran a citizen and a diplomat of Antigua. And it is Honorable Gaston Brown who is tied up with Brian Stewart Young at the Global Bank of Commerce. So there's a connection. So
Well,
now do you
we
see,
gotta be
Nikki?
careful. We gotta be
Mhm.
careful when we use certain words like tied up and so on. We gotta say association. So the prime minister
Associated,
is
right?
associated
Mm.
with Global Bank of Commerce. He's also associated with some form of friendship with Brian Stuart Young, and there's tracking in the U.S. and the U.S. courts with Alex Submaran and a linkage of an Antigua and Barbuda passport and also documentation of Global Bank of Commerce. Now, I want to step in and just say that everything that you're saying here on this platform is not just information that you're spewing. It's not a UPP narrative. It's not a this particular discussion that we're having here. This is information that I was able to go and verify for myself also after having this discussion here with Jonathan Winner. So if you're just joining this live, you're going to watch this live afterwards. We're not spewing any foolishness. We're not spewing lies. These are information. We're asking the questions. You're seeing that there's association, and why is that? So, Jonathan, I'll give you an opportunity to finish, and then I want to read the press statement because I want to come in with some information that I don't think that you would have, but I want to add to what we're talking about.
No problem at all. So, in conclusion, having said all of that, Nikki, I think it is clear for all to see who have been listening why, for the first time in about a decade, the heads of the National Security Council, the ABDF, the police force, immigration, etc., all them ONDCP, they'll be forced to come out and to make a statement saying that Antigua has nothing to do with the money laundering and drug trafficking. Because remember, listeners, we had a whole situation where President Maduro was captured and taken to the United States and charged with the same narco trafficking and all these things. And because of that indictment, Alex Moran is coming up again. And his connections with Caribbean leaders and Maduro's connections with Caribbean leaders. We saw headlines in the news that Caribbean leaders could possibly be implicated in the same indictment with Maduro. We saw those headlines. I mean, we didn't say which ones, but we saw the possible implications of connections with Caribbean leaders. So we're just saying, with the close ties that our Prime Minister has with Alex Moran, with the close ties that our Prime
But we
Minister has.
can't say Alex Submaran. I don't know a connection. I haven't seen a connection with Prime Minister Gaston Brown and Alex Submaran. We can see the connection with Prime Minister Gaston Brown and Brian Stuart Young and Prime Minister Gaston Brown and the Global Bank of Commerce, but we can't see a connection with Prime Minister Gaston Brown and Alex Submaran, just to be clear and to be careful on the platform.
Okay, well,
And then we also can't say, because I was doing some research to make sure of that, we also can't say that there's a connection between Brian Stuart Young and Alex Moran, although Brian Stuart Young is the CEO of the bank, because anybody could be
yes.
doing business at a bank. So we just want to clear that up there too for people who might want to.
Sure. So let me be more specific then, instead of making general statements. We
Mhm.
see that the Prime Minister granted Saab Moran citizenship. We
That's it.
see that he appointed him as a special economic envoy to Venezuela. We see that the Prime Minister appointed Alex Saab Moran as a diplomat, even after we have found out that before all those things were given to Alex Saab Moran by our Prime Minister, he was on the investigation in Latin America, in Ecuador, in Colombia. He is being watched by agencies in the United States of America, and still he was able to get all these appointments and pass out due diligence. That is questionable. That is questionable. So you can clearly see why, perhaps on the instruction, our National Security Council was sent out last week Friday after these investigations again in Venezuela for certain, what they call it, misinformation, from according to Maurice Merchant,
Yes,
was
leading.
dispelled according to him. So you can read the press statement if you want to know, to let them know
Yes,
what their story is.
let's touch on that because last on Monday I read the press statement and it mentioned the U.S. Antigua Barbuda relations. And one, the assertion that relations with the United States are under extreme strain is incorrect. Both governments remain in regular communication, including at senior diplomatic and technical levels. Where adjustments occur, such as changes to visa procedures, they are part of wider are supposed to be of a, but they are part of wider U.S. global measures and not targeted actions against Antigua and Barbuda. And then it says any suggestion that Antigua and Barbuda is being singled out or punished is unfounded. Now, I want to jump in here in the sense of it being unfounded and add two things I'm going to read here. So, one, this is a document that came up in my investigations, and this document has a signature at the bottom that says Marco Rubio. You know who Marco Rubio is?
That's the Secretary of State of the United States of America.
Yes, sirree.
Hmm.
Marco Rubio, Ranking Member, Subcommittee on Western Hemisphere, Transnational Crime, Civilian Security, Democracy, Human Rights, and Global Women's Issues. The signature is also of a Chuck Grassley, co-chair, Senate Caucus on International Narcotics Control. Another signature here for a James E. Risch, Ranking Member, Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And this letter is headline, or the heading is United States Senate, Washington, D.C., January 25, 2024, Jonathan. Less than a year ago, almost 1 year ago, or 2 years ago, sorry. So it says the Honorable Merrick Garland, Attorney General, Department of Justice. Dear Attorney General Garland, in December, President Biden granted Alex Saab clemency from United States charges, released him from custody, and returned him to his co-conspirators in Venezuela. Given the serious charges in his indictment, we ask that you provide the investigative file against Mr. Saab and his confessions no later than February 7th, 2024. The State Department has described Saab as one of the most important money men in the Maduro government and the quote unquote middleman between Nicolas Maduro's narco terrorist regime and Iran, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. In March 2020, Saab brokered deals with Iran and Maduro and was arguably involved in a mission designed to violate UN sanctions on Iran. Saab used a sophisticated network of shell companies to launder hundreds of millions of dollars in corruption proceeds around the world. He was so indispensable to his criminal network that the United States worried Iranian and Venezuelan operatives would orchestrate his escape from custody. Saab remains an unrepentant criminal. Is that the word? Mm-hmm. Criminal who, within days of his release from U.S. custody, launched a propaganda campaign aimed at discrediting our country and American judiciary and law enforcement professionals. What say you, Jonathan?
I say that sounds very damning because even though the man got a pardon, United States of America seems to be very much still interested in him. And for clear reasons, because for what, since 2012 we spoke about the initial investigations into him for many years now, about 14 years. This individual, Alex Sabran, has been on investigations by agencies, law enforcement agencies, not just in the States, but even in South America. So clearly we see a track record, a pattern of habitual behavior from this individual where he seems to be attracting investigations and concerns from law enforcement agencies. And you have to again question, how is it that he could obtain our CIP passport with this reputation? Why is it that every time we get warnings about the people who hold our passport through the Citizenship by Investment program, we ignore them and we tell them that we have the most transparent program in the world? I just don't understand, Nikki. I don't know if you could help me out there, but I'm not understanding there at all. And
I,
how?
I can help you out. Let me help you out again so we can wrap up the program. Jonathan,
Mm,
I want to thank you for your time. I know that we might need to do a part two and part three. I'm grateful for us to have this discussion because yes, we had a discussion yesterday. We've never spoken before. I haven't been able to share information with you, but I'm happy that this platform has initiative that we can go and investigate for ourselves. And even the information that's coming up now, I still have more time that I need more time to unpack it and put it on an Excel sheet, and let's really, bring information to the people and let them see what they're not being told, or in some of those sentences, the unsaid kind of words. So before I let you wrap up or add anything else, I wanted to read another article that links to this. So this letter here, with regards to the Attorney General Garland being sent asking for the files, because this is a letter of request to some extent. Is that what it listed as? I think it's a source document, a Senate document, and they're asking for his file, his investigative file. Yeah, and this was on January 25th, 2024. But also in my research, I came across an article that's dated October 18th, 2024. So that's a few months after. And this article says Venezuela's Maduro appoints to his cabinet a close ally pardoned by the US in a prisoner swap. And it says Caracas, Venezuela. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Friday appointed to his cabinet a close ally who was pardoned by US President Joe Biden last year as a part of a prisoner swap and following assurances that Venezuela would hold a fair presidential elections in 2024. Maduro named Alex Saab Minister of Industry and National Production and tasked him with promoting the development of the entire industrial system of Venezuela within the framework of what he called a new economic model. Maduro made the announcement on the messaging app Telegram. Saab returned to Venezuela a free man in December after being in custody since 2020 when authorities in Cape Verde arrested him on a U.S. warrant for money laundering charges. U.S. prosecutors long regarded him as a bag man for Maduro. The president secured his release and clemency in a deal conducted with the Biden administration. In exchange for Saab, Maduro released 10 Americans and a fugitive defense contractor known as Fat Leonard, who was wanted for his alleged role at the center of a massive Pentagon bribery scandal. The largest release of American prisoners in Venezuela's history took place weeks after the White House granted the South American country a broad reprieve from economic sanctions following a commitment by Maduro to work with the political opposition towards free and fair conditions for the 2024 presidential elections. And I'm just wrapping up. It says the U.S. ended the sanction relief earlier this year after hopes for a democratic opening faded. Last month, it responded to Venezuela's high disputed July presidential elections by sanctioning 16 of Maduro's allies, accusing them of obstructing the vote and carrying out human rights abuses. Saab was arrested in 2020 during a fuel stop en route to Iran to negotiate oil deals on behalf of Maduro's government. The U.S. charges were conspiracy to commit money laundering tied to a bribery scheme that allegedly siphoned off $350 million through state contracts to build affordable housing. Saab was also sanctioned for allegedly running a scheme that stole hundreds of millions of dollars from food import contracts at a time of widespread hunger, mainly due to shortages in the South American country. After his arrest, Maduro's government said Saab was a special envoy on a humanitarian mission and was entitled to diplomatic immunity from criminal protection under international law.
Oh
Yes.
boy, this is very sad, Nikki. This is very sad. Because I don't know how a little two by four country like us could be caught up in all this big drama here. I don't understand, Nikki. But I hope for the I'll end off by saying I hope for the benefit of all Antiguans and Barbudans, because these visa restrictions, this bond requirements and so on for your visas, that doesn't affect only the UPP supporters or the Labour Party supporters or the people who don't follow politics. It affects everybody, Nikki. Everybody from top to bottom. So we have to not wait until, let's say, you see a whole travel ban is placed on Antigua and Barbuda. Is that what we're going to wait for? I mentioned earlier on this show that the EU, the European Union, is warning us already since December of last year, again, repeatedly again, that fix up your CIP program or lose visa free access. We're going to wait until we lose visa free access to the EU now. We have so many persons who have family members in the UK. I mean, the UK is not part of the EU, but and different EU countries.
Mm-hmm.
We have so many links to the European Union. Are we going to wait until they too tighten or further restrictions or increase the restrictions on our visa free access, our travel access to that place? We have to act now. And this is not a situation where the United Progressive Party wants to see the Glastonbury administration fail, because it'll be for the detriment to all of us. We must see a change in course as to how the CBI program is administered, as to who we allow to obtain our passports, much less a diplomatic passport, Nikki. Only certain individuals should be able to have diplomatic passports. It's a very serious thing to have a diplomatic passport. So we need to see change. We need to see transparency and accountability as to how this country is running. And for me and the United Progressive Party, we can assure you that the United Progressive Party will be a sunshine government that sheds a light in all the dark corners across the administration, the government, the affairs of the state of Antigua and Barbuda.
And Jonathan, I, Nikki Phoenix, and this platform will be right here to hold your feet to the fire and put on my captain hat and blow the whistle and say, hey, not you. Don't come with that foolishness. I'm just saying.
As you should,
Stand
as you should.
guard. No, I'm saying we should stand guard because it's not a conversation where we're telling everybody, vote for the UPP. The UPP is the way. The UPP is the savior. Because we can't say that, Jonathan. I cannot sit on my platform and say that. I say that we need a change. We can clearly see that we need a shift in government. We need a shift in leadership. We need a government that understands the people. We need a government and a leadership that is respectful to the people and their ideas, their desires, to put policies in place that's going to move the country forward. That's what we need to happen. So I want to invite you back, Jonathan. I want us to do a part two of our discussion, but I want us to do a part two in a different way in the sense that the UPP has been in power for about 10 years. The Prime Minister, since he gained power in 2014 to now, which is about 12 years, 11, 12 years, he has blamed the UPP for everything, Jonathan. And I think one of the things that has never been done is going back into the history or back into the vault of the achievements, the policies introduced by the UPP, hurdles that the UPP might have gotten over within that 10 years, and bring that discussion to the table, and make that comparison to the type of 10, 12-year span we've had thus far with Prime Minister Gaston Brown. What do you think?
That's definitely, I'm willing and ready to do that. And you can even see what you just said in terms of the policies that the UPP had in place compared to the current Glastonbury administration. You'll even see that with the current topic of discussion for the morning in terms of our CBI program. So that could be one of the topics we address too, in terms of the total change in how our CIP program is administered under the UPP, Bowen Spencer administration, and under the Gaston Brown Labour Party administration.
I think that's something that we can definitely look at because one of the things that's been said a lot is that the UPP first started selling passports. The UPP introduced the ideas because there's actual videos and history with Ambassador Max Hurst protesting against the sale of the passport, of the Antigua and Barbuda passport.
Yes.
The UPP was in power at that time. So I think it would be relevant to show the changes and the times of the adjustment in the policies under Prime Minister Gaston Brown's reign or tenure since he's been Prime Minister.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. And there's so many It's so too numerous to mention to get in. We'd have to actually take probably half a show just to do that one on CBI alone. So definitely a part 2 and 3 is needed, Nikki. Hopefully soon.
Yes, and I'll definitely do a flyer next time and give you some time to promote it around your circles and your platform and so on.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning. I know we come to the end of our discussion, but I do have to go
No,
and get
me too.
about the day. Yes, yes.
So I give you an opportunity for your closing comments. So you wrapped up?
Yes, no, I just want to say again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. It's been a pleasure to address your listeners and your viewers, and I really hope that they were paying attention. I know we addressed some heavy topics this morning, but it's still important, very important, even though it's heavy. This is a topic that directly affects us and our ability to receive healthcare overseas, education overseas, to see our families overseas, sometimes even traveling just to go to funerals and so on. All these things and so much more will be affected if the current administration continues to mismanage the CBI program in terms of who are the characters who are able to obtain our passport. It affects the whole nation. Thanks for having me, Nikki.
Of course. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Enjoy the rest of your week.
You as well, you as well.
Take care. All right, guys, we got to wrap up. It is that time. It is that time. It is that time. We got to wrap up on a thank you. We've just wrapped up another Wednesday live. We are live every Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to mark the register. Look, let me mark the register now. When I'm marking the register, I'm going to put you absent if I don't see you here. And you know what? Starting today is going to be day one. And then Monday is going to be day two. So you guys gonna have 3 days, three absentees, and you're gonna go to the back of the class. So today is Wednesday 14th. If you think I'm playing, watch me. And then today, next Monday, what date is Monday next week? We're live every Monday and Wednesday. Let me check my calendar. Let me see. Next Monday is going to be the 19th, and then Wednesday is the 21st. Class, if you think I'm joking, look at me. So I'm marking the register now. So who's present today? Tamisha's present. If you're here, you better say you're present. So Tamisha's here. Tricia is here. Because once you comment, I know you're present. Even if you send me an emoji, I know you're present. But if not, 3 misses. If you missed 3 classes in session, you're going to go to the back of the class. Come on. Hold on. Let me see. Who else is here? Yvette is here. Samuel is here. All right, Samuel. I'm marking you, Gail is here. If you think I'm joking, I don't see James. I think I did see PN. Hold on. Sherman is here. Okay, Sherilyn is here. S-H-E-R. Y'all think I'm joking. Sylvia is here. I see Sylvia. She not Sharma George. I don't see Sharma George. I see Sharma Miller. And I'm going to make sure I put a mill at the end. So Sharma M. That's how you usually do it in school. If I don't see a name, Sheridan is here. Sheridan is your present. Okay, good. Listen to me. Piano is here. I see Piano. I see Arlene too. If you come in here and you don't say good morning, you don't say present to your class, you're going to get absent. If you think I'm joking, look, class. 1, 2, 3. You missed 3 lives, 3 classes, 3 sips. You're going to go to the back of the class. This is the new rule, okay? So we have Wednesday, today, Wednesday. We have Monday the 19th, and then we have Wednesday the 21st. You missed any class, back of the class. Think we're playing it's a new year, and we're not coming here for spectators, and you show up whenever you want. Who else is here? Let me see. Do I have Pian's name? I don't want to miss Pian. Pian is here. Okay. And you better tag your friends because you're going to have to start doing group work. I'm just saying. You're going to have group assignment. Linda's here. I'm going to mark you guys. Let me see. Janice is here. I'm going to check my register. Who else I don't see? Aldine was the first person in the class. I got to put a little star next to Aldine. Oldean. Star. I'm going to put a star. And I have all these different pens. If you think I'm joking. So I'm going to put a little asterisk next to 3 earlies. Get you a nice gift. Trust me, I got what? I'm going to mark the class. You think it's joke? This is not no regular live. We don't do this live for the likes and for the numbers and for the views and whatever, We're teaching here. We're building a community. And you don't show up, you're going to be marked absent. 3, Sharon, and then you miss your name. Sharon is here too, okay? Sharon is here. Y'all think I'm joking? Watch me. So Sharon, Janice, Linda, Carol, Charlene, Pian, Arlene, Sylvia, Charlene, Oh, I'm here. I see I put a comment there to mark myself. I'm here. I put myself here. Lady Nikki is here. Present. Oh, you think I'm joking? Gail, Samuel, Yvette, Tamisha. Let me see who else late. Who else? Oh, Taylor. No, you think I'm joking, huh? Tricia is here. Okay, good, good. Jay is here. Jay for short. Okay, good. Yep. All right. You think I'm joking? Watch this. So we're wrapping up the live. If you didn't hear your name called, that means you've been absent from class today, and that's one strike out. So Tamisha's here, Trisha's here, Yvette, Samuel, Gail. And listen, I know that some of you are not commenting. You better comment, or you better send me a WhatsApp and say, Nikki, I was at class, but I was at the back of the class. Or send me a message. Yeah? If I step tardiness, oh, I'm gonna step it up to that. You better show up before at least half of the class. So I'm just saying. Samuel, Gail, sure. Okay, good. Look at you guys. And now for those who were present, I'm going to give you guys little purple smiley facey thingy. Look, present. Oh, I'll give you a little heart. Look at that. Everybody's present today. Good job, guys. I'm going to head out and go and get munch. You realize I'm in munch mode, eh? Okay, I'm going to get munch. Hold on. I'm going to put 2 hearts next to Aldine because she was present. Give her a little 3 heart there. Okay, guys, look, if you think I'm joking. Aldine is here. Aldine was first today. Aldine get a star. Okay? Let y'all know we're gonna mark the register. Serious thing starting today. Gotta set the standard. Be at class early. Guys, I love you. I really gotta go. I gotta go get my munch. Gotta get into the Wednesday, continue the work doing, continue what we're doing. I still have a lot more to go through, a lot of information. Jonathan, when I didn't just come and share what he shared, I did my own investigations, and if I can share even more with regards to Antigua and Barbuda and SAP's connection to Antigua and Barbuda, SAP's connection to Venezuela, SAP's connection to Colombia, SAP's connection to what's happening in the United States. There's a couple of blockages I experienced because there are certain articles and files and docket files that are like behind paywalls, and there are certain PDFs and so on that I couldn't access as yet. So I want to spend some time the next couple of days and see how we can put our Excel sheet together and be find another way to get the information to you. So as you're seeing this conversation here, I can say, look on the screen, or this says this, or I can share it in the WhatsApp, and you guys can look at it, because we just don't want to have the noise. We want to have the facts. All right. I love you guys so much. Have a great day. Stay blessed. Stay focused. I didn't see anybody buy a coffee. Did you guys? You know what I'm going to mark the register for too? Hold on. Marking the register again. Nikki's site. Not my eyesight, you know. That good. My website. I'm going to mark the register to see how many people went here. Oh, Paula is here. Paula was going to mark your absent. Paula is present. Paula came in as soon as class was about to finish, but Paula is here. Paula is present, and Paula get a little heart. Paula, you just made it. I'm about to wrap up, and I was marking the register. 3 strikes. Back of the class. I'm just saying. But guys, this new link right here, www.nikkiPhoenix.co.uk/support. You just click that link, and that's the link that's going to take you to buy a cup of coffee, send the PayPal, any way that you can donate and support. This is an independent space, independent platform, and especially when I see that certain information coming up the way it is and these things that are happening, I'm even more motivated to keep it independent, because it is important that we not get direction, like nobody give us a directive, like this is Monday, you speak about this today, and this is Wednesday, you speak about this today, and guide our discussion, or push the narrative or the propaganda. Yeah, we don't do that. We go and get the facts, we look it up. Any information you need, let me know. But I gotta go. Gotta run. Love you guys so much. Stay blessed, stay favored, stay prayed up, stay covered, and keep your eye open. Keep your eye on them. Like, watch them hard, because we know. Yeah, love you guys. Stay blessed. Mark in the register. If you miss a class, quite a few. Look how many of them missing. We can hear what they say on Monday. Love you guys. Take care. Gotta go. Blessings.